there. The story is putting Him above all things, above family, above ourselves, above our very lives. Being willing to pick up our cross and carry it. It's talking about self-sacrifice. And so, in these very next stories that Jesus teaches out of after saying, make every effort to enter through the narrow door, we hear the story about humility, the story about generosity and not being covetous, the story about commitment, and finally a story about self-sacrifice. Perhaps these are the things that he's talking about in ways that we can make every effort. And these things can all be summed up, can't they? It's kind of that most basic thing, the most basic sin that Adam and Eve committed, isn't it? And what was that? Wanting to be like God. Wanting to be God. It's that arrogance of believing that we deserve to enter and take a prominent place at the banquet. In fact, the top of the place, in the master's suite. It's that they wanted to be like God. They were covetous. They didn't want to share. They were believing that our stuff is ours and no one else can have it. I have earned it. They're being self-serving in putting ourselves above everything else. Even God. My stuff is most important. My life. We wanted to be like God. And you understand that your salvation then, your sozo, comes from the knowledge that God is God and you are not. Your salvation, your healing, brothers and sisters, your entry through the narrow door comes, strangely enough, in your surrender. Surrender! Oh, it's this paradox that we hear of, that always seems to keep coming back with God. Is that every effort we have to do is actually our giving up. Cease your striving. Striving for what? To be like God. To have control. Because we're really not in control. Father Bill quoted from a church father last week. He said, if I seek you for fear of hell, send me to hell. If I seek you for hope of heaven, then keep me from heaven. If I love you for who you are, then let me dwell with you forever. That's the sozo. That's the healing. It's not acting like everything is perfect and all the things are going on around you don't mean a thing, that to be a perfect Christian and have a good witness, everything has to be perfect. It's actually being real. It's not talking the right Christianese and listening to the right music. It's being real. Being real with your brothers and sisters is being real with God. Specifically, it's being real in your love for Him. Genuineness with God. You seek Him for Him. You seek God for the purpose of seeking God. Not specifically for healing, not for heaven, not for your happiness, but just to know God. That's what healing is. That's what sozo is. God is love. That's it. To enter through the narrow door, you must humble yourself. You're not in control. To enter through the narrow door, you must be willing to let go of the earthly things. Goods, wealth, comes from God. To enter through the narrow door, you must put God first and foremost in your life. Not because you want to get to heaven or get through the narrow door, but because you want to be with Him. Because you care about Him and you love Him. That's sozo. That's saved. That's healed. Someone asked him, Lord, are only a few people going to be saved? He said to them, make every effort to enter through the narrow door, because many, I tell you, will try to enter and will not be able to. Amen. Amen.